Grist is the collective name for a range of resources used in sburb. In order for the server player to manipulate their client player's surroundings, for the client player to make equipment in their alchemy system, all is grist for the mill of sburb, and as such, grist is what you will need to make it through to the end and claim your prize. Let's go through it all, shall we? Grist can be acquired mainly through victory and strife, the combat system of sburb, or by recycling objects into the grist components that we use to make them through the alchemy system. More powerful enemies seem to drop exponentially higher amounts of grist, as your common imp will drop hardly any, relatively speaking, while the end boss denizens are guaranteed to drop enough for the ultimate alchemy, across all players, of course. What is the ultimate alchemy? Well, it's the endgame of sburb. Grist rigs must be built on top of every player's finished home in order to funnel all the player's grist into Skya itself, commencing the ultimate alchemy. The grist serve as nutrients to mature the Genesis frog. After this, players can claim the ultimate reward of creating their universe. However, one cannot afford to save all of his or her grist for this event and this alone, as doing so will mean you never get to this stage in the first place. As mentioned, the player must build their house up to its maximum possible height within the game before the grist rig can be built. This is done by the server player using the grist to make their home taller. This does not in fact need to follow the laws of physics to stay up as a structure in truth, but the game is pretty lax unless you aren't actually connecting things to the house. However, most players will put support beams and similar things in anyway for their own peace of mind, because the human brain doesn't like trusting non-Euclidean structures all that much. This upbuilding will allow the players to pass through the gates on the way up to Skya, with the gates leading to new worlds used by other players in the session or to obscure locations within their own world, all in order to team up and gather more grist and work towards their final objectives of ending the war and claiming their prize. There are 38 total types of grist that have been shown in the series so far, but we only actually know the names of 21 of them. Some fans have named the elusive 17 grists in their own works, but on the whole we'll be sticking to the ones presented in the official canon of the comics. In fact, we only know about one of them in any real depth, which is just as well since it is the most important one, build grist. Build grist is primarily earned by the client player during strife, and is then utilised by the server player to modify the client's domicile, or home if you prefer more everyday terminology, altering room dimensions, creating new floors, stairs or ladders, and by moving, pasting, copying objects as if they were playing The Sims. In addition, the server-client pairings enter the session with an increasing quota of starting grist. For example, John Egbert's server player had 20 build grist to start with, while Rose's server has 200, Dave's had 2,000, and Jade's had 20,000. This implies that in the Trolls session with 12 players, Carcat may have potentially started with the somewhat impressive 2 trillion build grists to work with in Solix's server. It should be noted that though they resemble the blue raspberry variant of sweets known as fruit gushers, any attempt to actually ingest build grist, or any other grist variant for that matter, is considered, to quote, idiotic and frivolous action. This is because they are gaming abstractions that do not actually exist in the physical plane of a sburb session. Upon touching the grist, the client player will have the grist stored in his grist cache. Server players are unable to directly interact with grist because of this, and must rely on their client players to collect their own. Build grist comes in several sizes, with each size being worth a different amount of grist. Each quantity of build grist dropped by an opponent seems to be randomly determined, with only the general order of magnitude determined by the opponent's stature and nature. The second most important grist in terms of what we've seen of it seems to be the one called shale. It is used in most recipes after build grist, as well as being needed to upgrade one's alchemy workstation, as we discussed last time, by constructing the Punch Design X. As for the other named grists, they are in no particular order: amethyst, amber, artifact, calc, chalk, cobalt, diamond, garnet, gold, iodine, marble, mercury, quartz, ruby, rust, sapphire, tar, uranium, and zillium. They are used in a variety of crafting solutions, seemingly based on their colour and general structure and hardness. Tar, for example, will often be used to make black liquidy things, while ruby may be used for tough red objects. These rules are not universal though, but Generally, thinking of them that way is a good guideline. Grist may be transferred from one user to another using the Grist torrent client. This client displays the nominal amount of Grist owned by each player across one session. When a player collects more Grist than their cache limit will allow, Grist torrent will place it all in the Grist gutter. From there it is gradually redistributed to all the other players who have room for it, and you can torrent as much as you need off your allies if you feel like being a bit of an arsehole in that regard, Dave. And there we have it. Grist and all we really know about it at present, and within its use of sburb. This one was a bit shorter than most videos so far, but there really wasn't that much to say. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe for more Homestuck lore, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.